Greetings. This is Mandrake. This is Mission 10, Nexus, Legendary with all skulls on, except for Bandana. Now, the most difficult sections in this mission is going to be the small room with the two red hunters. There's a gondola ride, and then for the final part of the mission, there's a large room requiring 3 power seeds to activate the Grav-lift and then exit in the mission.
Where now?
Down, I guess.
The stockpile of weapons
this is all
to
new.
move along here.
Fresh. The Nexus appears to be below the gravity lift into
I'm
the
just
Spire.
waiting for some of this dialogue
need
to
to find it.
finish up. So, as I was saying about the stockpile, to first off mention, my current loadout that I'm carrying is a VR and a volatile skewer. That skewer that I'm carrying is specifically going to be for the hunters. So getting into this room here, I'm going to start with a mule. He's going to drop a plasma pistol, which I can use. And this Jackal Major, surprisingly, has a plasma pistol as well. Get into... Now, that was kind of odd. I threw that hard light coil, hit him right in the face, and it seemed like he just didn't have any damage. It just kind of pushed him back.
This ain't how it was supposed to go at all!
So that's 2 down. 3 of 5 grunts, so there's going to be 5 grunts, 2 brutes, and I had another playthrough where I had 3 brutes, so I'm not sure what the difference, why there's just 2 brutes. One of these brutes has a sentinel beam, and the other one is just a brute major with a rocket launcher, which is in the back there and now starting to move up. I'm gonna get him in the back here. And all that's left is a grunt that shoot me in the back. I'll move in and save him for a melee. So as far as the stockpile I'd mentioned, like I said, I brought along the volatile skewer. That's going to be for the hunters, so I'm not even going to use it until I get to the hunters. And then I'm going to collect all the rocket launcher ammo that I can, which you can easily get 2 full rocket launchers and not even have to really use the rocket launcher, but you can take 2 of them for the hunters as well. There'll be other weapons that can be collected. Yeah, that was kind of close with the main time. So there's other weapons that can be collected in a previous room, like a regular skewer. There's like a needler and stuff like that. There's a few different things. Other important items for the stockpile is going to be plasma pistol, pulse carbine, sword, a stalker rifle. I will move along the sentinel beam and the heat wave, but I don't use it, and there's really not a need for it. And there's been times where I have used the heat wave to move up close on brutes, but I haven't. There's no use for them. There's a few elites that I'll get them on. In this next room, you'll find sometimes that these what do you call them? Skirmishers will push in. So it's going to be 2 to 3 skirmishers that are going to push into this room or push into the doorway, and an elite will eventually show up. So in the next room, you'll have 4 skirmishers and an elite. And by the way, I picked up the pistol just for starters because there's not going to be a lot of places to get kinetic ammo reload, but I don't know, I was just playing around. Hey, I found the pistol. There's also going to be, this is kind of a long mission because I do spend some time doing some item running and looking around and looking for things. And at times it seems like there's a little bit of exploration kind of going on. I'm kind of like, well, have I looked here? Have I looked there? Now here comes the elite. There'll be some item running exploratory portions that I just speed up and we'll just kind of speed through. So with these elites, yeah, he stabbed me and I survived because of the maxed out shield. There was a chance to punch him, but I'll get a chance here. So I'm gonna do several grapple pounds on the elites, take care of them. I'll also do the same on some brutes. Comes in handy. So as I was saying, as far as the item running and, you know, searching and stuff like that, I'll speed through it and I'll just try and talk through what I can. So just kind of juggle along these weapons. And like I said, looking back at this, I don't use the heat wave and I don't use the sentinel beam. So there's really not a need for that, and of course your option or choice to choose what weapons you want to move along and you want to collect and use. So I'll put these threat sensors out, but I don't really follow up with it right here. I go back to searching and looking around, so I'll speed it up again and I'm just kind of searching and looking around. I think I was looking for another pistol because I know I saw another pistol. I'll eventually find it. I think there was one dropped by the mule, and there's also a commando in this room. So if there's a need for not using the BR as much, which you can get through this with, you know, being just fine using your BR, but I really, for my preference, I really only use the BR for whenever I get a good clean headshot on something. Here, this pistol, I don't know, I was having a hard time. It was pretty distant.
What do you think?
If I told you what I... Oh, I get it. Sarcasm.
So
You're
that's going to
funny,
be
too.
the end of the pistol. So I'm going to leave it behind. And so I'll be using the BR more often. These are like 2 connecting rooms. In this first room, there's 3 elites. I already took one out because he pushed in. And that elite just took that coil to the face and shrugs it off. I didn't have the right nade selected because when the mission started, this is interesting how the nade was able to kill him. I was at least pleased with it. The grapple pound worked. And so the second half of this room, there's going to be, I want to say 6 grunts and 2 elites, or 1 elite. I think it's 1 elite. 1 elite, 6 grunts. So lots of new combo action going on. Seems like another plasma pistol is dropping. See it off to my right. Don't see it on the screen yet. And I think there's maybe another plasma pistol gets dropped. I think there's a mule that was in that room, and I think he dropped one.
I need to find him. It's all up to me.
Slay the humans! Leave none alive!
It's hopeless!
I'm not able to finish off this grunt, taking more damage, so I'll need to melee again to get my shield.
We prepared for his cowardice. Keep searching.
Grapple pound worked well there. I need to melee this grunt to get my shield.
Throw it in a grenade! I'm gonna make it
4 melees that time. Alright, so now the next portion here is just a little searching and a little moving and juggling of weapons. Get a sword. Oh, and by the way, The third item that I find a must, it may not be much of a must, for the hunters that is taking a full sword. Because my typical thing is, even though the game is set up to where you don't have to, in order to earn checkpoints, you don't have to have a charged shield, I still make the effort to at least to have a full shield to get checkpoints. So it's a real juggle when it comes to the hunters and trying to get that kill shot with the sword so you can get a shield back. There is some kind of juggling there on, because you can work your way into a position where you stab one of them, get your shield back, and then give yourself some distance and try and finish them off, maybe with a rocket launcher or skewer or whatever you have, and that kind of thing. And then to maybe you have a drop wall or have something to protect you from taking damage. But I made it a point to get the kill shot with the sword, which meant I had 3 times having to suicide, because I ended up with a kill shot with like a skewer or I think a skewer pretty much 3 or the 4 times, and I didn't have a shield. And so even though it seemed just kind of uncertain if I was going to earn a checkpoint, because after the Red Hunters, you head on to the Gondola ride, and you can easily die in that scene. But I did find a way to kind of get around that. So if you don't end up with a shield, then what you can do is, when you work your way and you're on your path to the gondola, and I'll point this out when it occurs, there's a scripted portion where when you enter and the walkway that takes you to the gondola, there's a sentinel that spawns kind of like right in front of you, or is just sitting there. And if you're quick enough, you can grapple it and melee it, thus giving you a shield, and then you can get checkpoints if ever the game is ever fixed or is corrected, or however it works out. So you get these 2 grunts that like to push in, and I am using the stalker on these guys. Even though his buddy was just killed in front of him, he still kept coming forward, being aggressive. So this room's going to have 4 jackal snipers. There's going to be 2 right here. I'll pick that one off. The other one isn't really reacting. I'll get an eye on the second one. I'll be able to get an eye on some of the skimmers that are flying around. There's some shield jackals, jackal majors, jackal miners. Actually, I think it's skirmishers. Actually, I'm unsure if there are jackals with swords, with shields, that is. Jackals with shields. Those guys, I could noob combo them. And I believe this room has kinetic and plasma ammo dispensers. So I can be egregious with usage of ammo. Like I said, there's 4 jackal snipers, so I mean I can pick up their ammo, but there's also plasma ammo dispenser. So there's one of the jackal snipers. There's going to be another one on the left side. Shows up on the threat sensor. And at the exit door, there's a jetpack brute major with a jackal. I'm sorry, not jackal, a grunt.
Attack! I will destroy you.
He pretty much hangs out back there. He doesn't push up into this room. There's another skimmer. And there's 4 skimmers I think there's a couple of them in that back room that kind of push in, or in that back area. Did not mean to fall back down into the floor level. Because I can, yeah, there's 2 grunts and the brute guarding the exit.
Fire everything!
So at this point, I'm going to go back to my stockpile and move my stockpile in. I am unaware of if this door locks behind me. There's been some rooms, I don't know if it's going to be on this mission. Yeah, on this mission, when you get to the last room, it's actually kind of a larger room. At least a larger room on this mission. It's the last room that you come to with enemies before you encounter the hunters. In that room, if you get too close to the exit door, the door that in the previous room that you came through will lock. And if you leave your weapons in there, then all that stuff's going to be lost. You won't be able to access it or even go back to it. So that's at least one instance I know of a door that will lock behind you. I'm not aware of any of these other doors that will, because I go ahead and make the effort to move this stuff, ensuring that there's like no accidents or anything unforeseen. In a previous run in this area along the floor, moving a stockpile of weapons, I'll find things that just glitches and falls through the floor and gone forever. And you'll find it under the floor. Sometimes it's like 2 feet under or 15 feet under. And that's one of the few times I use the sword. So I'm going to speed it up again. There's going to be a lot of weapon juggling and moving weapons, moving the stockpile into this staging area here. Be able to collect more rocket ammo. The next room coming up is it's a small, narrow, long room, and it's got 2 brutes at the exit. And the room after that's going to be like that Spire Hologram room. It's kind of a medium-sized room. Plasma pistol should be full. I think I'm gonna... Yeah, there, I just did Did that, and now I've got my BR full. So I know the plasma pistol's full. I've got at least a full pulse carbine, maybe 2. Depending upon how much, I'm unsure how much I'll be using pulse carbine. I do. There's a couple rooms I'll use it a little more than not. So, you know, I think I have 2 of them that I'm moving along. Not quite sure what I'm looking for. Searching, all that. Okay, back to normal speed, which means I'm about to engage the brutes in this next room. And I'm deciding on what I'm going to carry. Way back at the exits, 2 brutes. And yeah, they do want to push
The
up.
reformation will not be stopped! Now we make him die.
Now this is going to look kind of interesting how this first brute looks like his head looks like he's hanging from the ceiling of the doorway of the next room. But I think it turns out that it's his arm stuck up in the ceiling. So moving the stockpile. Didn't use any ammo or any weapons on those brutes. Grapple pound them. Again, I'm not sure what I'm looking for because I'm pretty sure I have searched this room, been through this room enough. I'm not sure what I'm looking for. So this is the Spire Hologram room. Now there's going to be 2 skirmishers here at the doorway, just inside the doorway. So, as per usual, with some of these rooms are large rooms. I want to, you know, at least get a foothold and at least have a means of getting in the room and setting up position, setting up a defensive position, and that kind of thing, instead of just trying to fight from the doorway. I at least want to get in there. But it's just these 2 skirmishers, and so there's really not much to it beyond that to get in here. Now you do get, though, there's a brute and a grunt to the left and a brute and a grunt to the right, and they'll throw nades. And so I'm not going to bring in all my weapons. I'm going to bring in pretty much just what I need in the doorway, and then once I get those guys taken care of, then I can start moving the rest of my stuff in the room.
Look at that. The hologram, it looks like the spire above us. We're heading in the right direction.
I get the threat sensors down and figure out where they are again. Grab a coil. See how it works.
Tasty little shit. Hiding and
It seemed like that plasma coil did more work than the fusion coil. The fusion coil is supposed to be has a more powerful explosion. And I missed. Still seemed like that plasma coil exploded right behind. That was interesting. I think the grunt shot the threat sensor out of the air. There's going to be 3 brutes. Already killed one on the left. So, kind of wondering what it is why I'm not able to grapple. Oh, you're going to get some of these grunts will suicide, and you have to really kind of juggle the brutes firing rockets, the grunt shooting the disruptor, all that in a crazy sequence. I think there's 2 grunts remaining. You get one here on threat sensor, but I think there's another one. I'll get another sensor down, and there'll be a second one that shows up. So now that I got these grunts are not going to push up, and they're not going to see me here. They're not going to throw nades here. I'm going to go ahead and pull in. I think I'm going to pull in some other... Actually, I think I'm going after this grunt.
I'll make this ring safe from your kind.
Yeah, I can hear another grunt. And he's gonna suicide. You want to get away from these nades because one will explode shooting off the other one, and you don't want it going in your direction. So now at this point it's back to searching and moving the stockpile and reloading ammo. There's another sentinel beam, and there is a second BR. It's just a BR laying in that corner. So as you come through the doorway into this room, it'll be on this right hand side. Run a scan and you'll find it's really just laying on the floor in the open. Back to the stockpile. I'm going to move the stockpile up to the next doorway. Next room is there's really not going to be any enemies in this next room. It's just kind of a corridor and a split direction. You'll see the room. It's kind of like a big window. You can see the room blue where you're going. So you get your passage where you go to the left or you go to the right, and it doesn't matter which way you go. I don't even recall examining what the other room is, but I go through. I take the right passage and just make note of what goes along there, and I didn't really look at what was on the left. I'm pretty sure they're very, very similar. You just come across a skirmisher, and I think there's some weapon laying around, and or something that I won't need. There's just the empty corridor. Move the weapons into there. Keep on moving the stockpile. Back to normal speed, just kind of move along a couple items, and I'm going to go to the doorway or the window here and look down, and in that room down there there's 2 Jackal Majors and a Jackal Minor, and there's a rack that has a couple cinder shots that they'll merge into one full cinder shot. I do carry and move the cinder shot along, but then I don't ever use it. I mean to use it, but I don't really use it. I think I forgot about it, and I think at some point, I don't know if I lost it or what happened with it, but I don't think it didn't make it into the room with the hunters, so I'm not sure what went wrong. Like I said, there's just a skirmisher, not even paying attention. Took 2 melees, unusual, because there are usually four melees to get a kill on them. These weapons like to slide down the ramp, or try and throw them and get them to slide down. Back to normal speed, so I'm about ready to engage these jackals down here. I think this was kind of an interesting result from engaging these jackals. So I'll shoot one of them, and I'm unsure how the other ones reacted. I was able to kill 1 or 2, and the third one, so just kind of moseying and patrolling around, didn't seem to react to it. So we'll get to see what goes on and how these react. 1, 2, and 3. I get that one, and the third one's not even reacting. Didn't you hear the bullets? What I mean by reacting is still didn't activate his shield. So coming through the door is 2 or 3 grunts and an elite. So far there's 2 grunts that I can see. And a nade went off and then took out the... Okay, so 3 grunts. I can see the third one.
Nothing here to fight.
I will believe.
And this one is going to suicide. I'm glad I was at the distance that I was. Now I can just grapple pound this elite.
Throwing plasma. The next strike will end it.
The next strike will end it. How's that for the next strike? Alright, now this next room, there's a trigger line to walk across that will activate and trigger them to start their scripted mode, which is like the midway point of this doorway. Crossed it, activated them. Here the 2 jackals will step out. And here comes the camo elite, so I'm going to jump up on top of this doorway and I'll just grapple pound him as he comes through. I'll put the threat sensor down to pick him out. He has no idea where I'm at. I'm able to take care of him just fine. Shoot this one jackal. The other elite is kind of hanging back and just hiding. This other jackal took cover. So I'm going to move in and try and get my shield back off of this jackal.
The Harbinger's work must be completed.
Now they got those jackals carrying plasma pistols. I'll have plenty of plasma pistol ammo. I mean, there's enough that's been dropped for a full second plasma pistol, but I only need to take 1. So I'm going to move the stockpile, and I'm saving the elite for last here. I'm going to move all the weapons up to the doorway. And I'm also going to get that cinder shot. You can actually use that cinder shot, and because of Boom and Cowbell, it seems to have a favorable effect with the cinder shot, and you can take out a lot of enemies with a single shot. However, there's inconsistencies with how you're supposed to do that. If you want to bounce the shot and explode in their face, or you want to direct hit, you want it to bounce it and explode near them, direct hit at their feet, direct hit in the face, I mean, it's really all over the place. There were times I had 3 direct hits on an elite, and it seemed all I did was just push them around. And then with the next elite I came across, just no different from the first, just direct hit, like in the chest or in the face, and just obliterated them and was gone. And it was so odd how inconsistent it can be with the cinder shot. I'll do different things. Bounce it or direct hit. Try and direct hit from distance, kind of guide it, do like a guided shooting with it. I'll just grapple pound this one because I have a shield. Got the sword. Got the sword just in case the grapple pound didn't work. It didn't. Well, then I just stabbed him, and there's plenty of sword ammo, and I ended up picking up his sword. It's just another plasma pistol. There's plenty of plasma pistols left. Again, more heat wave, which I won't need or use. So moving the stockpile again. The next room coming up is kind of a larger room, and this is going to be the last room where there's enemies, and pretty much the last fight before the hunters. When I get to that, then I'll talk about the hunters. But this next room, with enemies that is, there's going to be several enemies. As far as the hardest part of the upcoming big room is one that it's a large room, so you're gonna get enemies from the left and the right shooting at you. You got the grunts and jackal snipers. There's brute snipers, and I think some of these brute snipers don't come out until they're triggered. Like there's a trigger line you walk across that scripts them, and they'll come out. because I don't see them and I don't encounter them during the first part of this fight, because I'll do part of the fight here down at this end of the room as it comes through the door. And it seems like when I get through the midway point of the room, then it seems like 2 more show up. So first step here was to take out the plasma turret, and there's the first grunt on a plasma turret, and there's going to be 5 more. How many more grunts? I don't think I have the count. There's going to be 4 skirmishers. Seems like 5 grunts, not including the one that was on the turret. So there would be 6 total. There's going to be a mule. There's a brute sniper that's on the left side, and then there's just a brute major on the right. I can now move my items in the room. I don't think I'm going to get any nades down at this end that will blast my stuff away. And there's a jackal sniper that's getting eyes on me. There should be one on the right, but I couldn't find the one on the right. It might be ground level. And there's the brute sniper on the left side. See that? Seems like whatever it is, like he's got on his back. See, it's just kind of it's standing up. That's kind of the sign of the sniper, like the brute sniper. You're going to have that one brute sniper on the left, and there's going to be 2 more that I think are triggered when you hit the center point of the room. The pulse carbine for brutes. At least the brute majors, ones with shields. Get a skirmisher. One on the ground level. One on the left, one on the right. Slow play. Kind of get one at a time. Only 1 skirmisher remains.
Contract is fulfilled. Yes.
The brute snipers have skewers, which come in handy for the hunters if you didn't bring along a volatile skewer. The 3, 4 melees. So interesting how the other skirmishers I came across took 2, and it may have been because I punched them in the back twice.
Human, I need to remind myself.
Yes, definitely. I'm inspired to hand out the guns now.
And this one is mounted on the turret. Get to my stockpile and get the stalker. Unfortunately, I didn't have my BR, and so I didn't bother trying to go for the headshot with the stalker, and it's going to cost me. And plus, not having my grapple out across me. And so he's going to get his shield back. And then I have that jackal sniper, the brute sniper on the left side, taking aim on me. Waiting for this drop wall to be reset so I can... I'm moving up for a melee. And I think I triggered the 2 brutes. Yeah, here come the brute snipers, one from the left and one from the right. Now the...
I'll end this! Don't even need it!
That was... I got the counting right. That was 4 melees. Now you typically want, whenever you get those spike nades, you want to get low. You want to kind of crouch and get low because it blows upward and outward. So I was jumping, and I don't want to be airborne when that thing goes off because it'll get me. So I was saying about the skewers. The ammo that they drop is like a 1 in 3, so you get 4 shots. And they'll be the same that you find, and there's also a rack that's going to have 2 skewers. So you get those 2 put together, it's a full skewer. It's a full 8-shot skewer, and there's 1, 2, 3 other skewers laying around, so you can have pretty much 2 full skewers and a half. 2 of them, and then one of them will have 4 shots in it. That being I've got the volatile, I really should only take 1 other skewer, regular skewer with me. But I end up taking 2 as just in case I end up missing a bunch of shots, which can happen. Another thing I want to note is, with all the gathering of the weapons and ammo I'm doing here, I'm going to do it before, and see, there's the rack that has the 2 skewers. Is I want to move the stockpile to the next doorway, because if you activate the door, I think you just push them. There's a button to activate right there. That plinth. There's some timer. I have yet to run through and find the timer and see what the timer is. But if you take too much time running around and collecting weapons and doing this stuff I'm doing after the door is open, the game will just, no matter where you're at, it'll just stick you in the room with the door locked to face the hunters. And so if you don't have your stuff in the room, then you're not going to get your stuff. So I make sure I have everything ready at the doorway to move into the room and be able to move it quickly into the room. One of the holdups with this is there's a mule that's waiting at the doorway with his back turned. He doesn't see you. But I think if you walk too close to him, whether he hears you or whatever it is, but will turn around. Plus, I think if you do that, sometimes the hunters can see you, and then they're going to engage. But the hard thing to do is get all your weapons in the room, and then make sure you're pick up and carrying what you need to carry for the fight, instead of looking around for them, because the hunters, when they see you, they're going to start shooting, and your weapons are going to get blasted all over the place in unexpected places, and it'll be hard to find them and stuff like that. So really the juggling part is I want to make sure one of the weapons I'm carrying is going to be like the secondary weapon. And then the primary weapon is going to be one that I pick up after everything is dropped. So I make sure I have it by the doorway or by a place where I can grab it quickly. So my loadout, once I start the fight with the hunters, is going to have to be or ends up being the volatile skewer and the Ravager. I end up taking a Ravager. It comes in handy. I do it as a burning area of effect on the ground on the hunters. It's effective, works well, and you can kind of do a little bit of kickback, pushback on them when you shoot them, kind of get them to back off. So here's going to be the mule here at the doorway, with his back turned, just talking and yapping. The hunters, there's one in the far left corner, one in the far right corner. And fortunately, and a good thing, you can't see them. They can't see you as of right now. So I gotta quickly move these items, and you'll notice here coming up, I'm moving this needler, and this is gonna be one of the things I was trying to mention is sometimes the floor is something glitchy with the floor. You're gonna see it here in just a second. This needler slipped right through the floor, and there it went. It is gone. It's down. It's like 20 feet down in the ground under the floor. You can barely. You'll catch it here in a second. I'll look at it here in a moment because I'll catch it. I'll do a scan here, and there it is. Well down under the floor. It just went under the floor. I think I end up running back and going to get another needler. I don't recall. Find out here. I really only need one skewer, but I moved 2 of them. I'm going to grab the second one. There was something with this second rocket launcher. I'm not sure what went wrong or what happened, but I don't think the second rocket launcher was full. I don't get it. That was kind of frustrating because I don't recall how much of a problem it was, but I think it was, I ran out of ammo on the first one, and I went to pick up the second one and reloaded, and it seemed like I only got to shoot once or twice or something like that, and that was it. And yet maybe I only had time. This is what you want. You want this mule to move up into toward the center part of the room. He still has his back turned. You absolutely got to have that because you need to get all these items in the room, and the method of doing this is I try and throw them where they land at like the bottom of the ramp and then slide into the room. One of the I had a checkpoint here where there, I don't know if you can catch it in the edit, but the game, because I guess I took too long, and the game threw me in the room, and I had yet to get all my weapons in, so I just did a quick suicide, and then I had to come back and do this again. So putting the drop wall down, looking to make sure I got everything. I'm gonna put my BR in a corner, and then I realized I need to kill that mule with just a headshot. And so I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to start throwing my stuff because so trying to get the shot on him. I'm going to grab the Ravager, switch to the volatile skewer, and now the fight's on. I'm in the room, door's locked. There's one of the edits because I think I ended up with an early death. So the method I'm using here is I'll shoot that second. I try and get the first shot while he's distant, and I try and get the second shot while he's by that plasma coil. So I can get a little bit of extra damage from the plasma coil. I want to get at least 4 shots on him. It's sometimes 5 direct hit shots will send him into a rage mode, or at least what I would call like a weak rage mode, which there it was. I think that was the 5th shot. He got into a weak mode, which meant in 2 more shots he'll be dead. There was the second shot, so 7 shots, got the kill. Also, when he goes into that rage mode, I want to stick him with a nade and just get that, just like a free bit of damage. So now it's rocket launcher on the second one here. And the rocket launcher really, it seems like the rocket launcher doesn't much damage. It seems to kind of push him around. But it comes in handy if I want to redirect him and push him out of the way. Getting this second hunter kind of goes into kind of like a dopey search mode where I guess he doesn't know where I'm at, where the other one always seems to know where I'm at and doesn't seem to have a hard time finding me. This one just seems to be looking in all different directions for me. But it seems like if you're just walking or doing something, just like immediately just head on a swivel, just turns and just knows right where you are and starts shooting. And we'll do that rapid fire shot and have no chance. So I mean, this one even seems dopey or whatnot, but can be so dangerous. Because here you are, the stakes are high. You don't want things to get ruined, and you want to be able to get it done right, get the kill on him. So he hadn't really taken a whole lot of damage. So that rocket shot was to get him to move, so I can get here, get more rocket ammo. I want to get my hands on the sword here in a moment. I want to get the skewer because the other one is empty. Volatile skewer is done. I want to get some shots, put some shots in on him. The thing was how many shots to put in on him, because I had put 3 shots on him and was still alive, and I died from just being splattered by something. And there was another time I fired 2 shots into him and it killed him. There was a time where I fired a shot directly into his exposed back and got the kill, and there was another time I fired into his exposed back and didn't get a kill. But like I'm saying, I want to do just enough damage to where I can get the kill shot with the sword. And you can't get that close to this one. They seem to know right where you are, and when you get close to them, they'll back away. So it's hard just to get close and try and get the drop wall close enough where you can just maybe step through the drop wall and stab them. Maybe have an obstacle nearby to kind of reach around the corner and stab them. Here I had some bad luck. I ended up sticking on the spike of the... I wanted to stick it out closer in the middle part of the room. And I want to jump and hit that pier in the middle. And bad luck, it clips... I mean, give me a break here. But it's close enough where I can see him on the threat sensor. The other part that comes into play with the blind skull is with the maxed out threat sensor, you don't get the health level of the enemies. So you don't know what the health is on these guys. So you really just have to kind of keep track of how much damage you do. Now, and look at the damage of the second one. I don't think the second one goes into a rage mode. I think he's in rage mode. You look at his eyes, and the eyes are really kind of see. There's times I've seen the eyes kind of look the same, and they don't show any kind of difference. Now, I just went through a second skewer on this hunter. So now it's sword time. So yeah, I can't get close to him. I can't get close to him to stab him. So I want to try and use this column, this pier, and get just close enough and get one. Got my shield back. So I was just saying, if I can get my shield back and I get him distant, then maybe I can get him with the rocket launcher and get a kill shot. But I took some damage. There's the kill shot. So even though he took a lot of damage, still took 3 sword swipes to get the kill. I had numerous deaths. This was very hard to do. My very first playthrough of this with LASO all skulls on, with the exception of Bandana, felt like it was never going to happen. It felt impossible. Like I just couldn't kill these guys. This room is the worst. All these boxes and crates and all these items. The hunters shoot them and you can get splattered by them. The hunters shoot at stuff and they may not even be shooting at you. You might be 6-8 feet away from where they think you are. They think you're in a particular spot and they shoot at that spot and you're not even there, but then what they shoot ricochets and splatters you. So this is just bad luck haven, and I got all kinds of bad luck. There was just 1,000 ways to die, and I got all 1,000. I mean, there was times where I would grapple, they don't see me, I've grappled, and I'm in mid-transit grapple and being pulled at a high rate of speed across the room, and just shoots me out of the air.
What now?
Down.
Oh, there's a pistol in this room, actually 2 of them. There's a 100% in the rack and 50% on the ground. But here, the next portion of this is the gondola ride, so the enemies from here on are just sentinels. So all you really need is
That was
the
fun.
shock
Wanna
rifle
do it again?
and a
Where now?
sentinel beam,
Should be close
and
now.
you will be collecting
Let's
those
look around.
along the way here. There'll be a rack here and a rack there that's got the has those weapons. I'll be coming across them here soon. So I really didn't need to bring along anything else, but I absolutely need the VR for the next mission, because there's not gonna be any VRs for the rest of this mission. Not aware of any other kinetic ammo dispensers, so I'm not gonna be using any VR. I'm just gonna be using the shock and the sentinel beam. This is that spot I was telling you. So if you don't get a shield, you step through this door and be ready to grapple that sentinel and melee, and that way you'll get your shield back.
That's not good. We're gonna need to find a way
Now,
over
I have
this
mentioned
chasm.
in videos of
Can we
past
use that
for
gondola?
this
Yes. Yes, we can.
series
Get me
of
over there.
All Skulls on without bandana. As far as skipping and no tank gun, no glitching, no going through walls. Now, as far as skipping enemies, I mean, for the most part, and I really mean the most part, I'm not skipping them, trying to bypass them or anything like that. But this gondola ride, you can skip the second part of this gondola ride. But as it turns out, the game doesn't give you enough ammo to kill all the sentinels that they throw at you. So I will run out of what do you call it? I'll run out of shock rifle, and sometimes these sentinels get too far out of range to use with the sentinel beam, and you just get outnumbered by these guys, and you get easily killed. So what I do is I'll ride the gondola to the halfway point, that round door that opens up, and I do want to note and mention that if you just try and grapple to, or at least get on the gondola, start it, and then just grapple your way to that midway point, there's a point to where the gondola will go to the door, and if you're not on board, it will stop and reverse course back to its parking spot. So you need to ride the gondola up to the door. It'll open. You have to have the gondola go through the door. Then you can grapple off and grapple to the rounded doorway, and then grapple to the end. By doing so, a lot of the sentinels don't spawn and don't engage. You don't see them, and then you can land on the bridge where you would end up going. I do want to note, you can if you get 2 body shots, actually, like on the side of the body of the sentinels,
Okay,
you can
gondola's
get them with
active.
3 shots. Where I find, and I've read it places where people saying you want to shoot them in the eye or shoot the orange glowing eye or whatever. Sure, I'll shoot them 4 times, and you got to make sure all 4 shots counts. But usually these guys are like a 4 to 5 shot kill. You shoot them in the side of the body, and you can consistently get them with 3 kills. You get 2 body shots, and you can good solid headshot. You can get them with 3. I think you end up with 4 sentinels, or maybe it's 6 in this first portion. I don't know if I have the count.
Chief, watch out! Sentinels incoming.
So I'm getting close to the door. I need to start looking at what weapons I'm going to be carrying. Yeah, lots of sentinels. Like I said, I'm going to be, you can run out of ammo easily. So now it's time to jump off and grapple my way out of this. And as I was, as I was trying to make the point about how I don't skip enemies and I'm not skipping sections and stuff like that, there's when you have Bandana and you have the ability of no cooldown, well, you can just skip past, just blow past so many sections and numerous sections. This is something being done without Bandana, with the using the conditions that the game gives you with your equipment. And so it's a way of getting around these enemies, and it is something I'm looking to probably do a mission replay to find a way of doing this without doing the skip. I'm just trying to get an eye on my location. I have the flashlight on so I can see where I'm at, because this is some dark area here. There's the bridge I'm trying to work my way towards. And I think if you grapple and do this, you can get here before the gondola will. And yeah, you can hear that distinct sound of the gondola arriving. So here at the exit door, shock rifle, sentinel beam. There is a at the beginning I forgot to mention it, but it's I can't really say it's necessary or have anything relevant, but there's a when you arrive, when you start up and arrive at the gondola, if you continue forward and continue on, there's a doorway at the other end, and you go through that doorway and get a power seed. You could put that on the gondola at that ride, and then here at the gondola, if you continue on here on the other side, there's a doorway you go through and you put in a power seed, and there's a secret room that has a rocket launcher, sniper rifle, VR, and some ARs. And it's nothing that that will be useful. Sniper rifle might be useful, but I think it may only have 4 shots in it because of famine. Alright, there's something tricky with this doorway here. Being that the shock rifle didn't make it in the room, when you hit the cutscene, it's going to be on the other side of that door. That door is going to lock and close. So I think the trigger line is just a couple feet short of the doorway. But there is a shock rifle in this room. It's on the other side. It's on the rack on the other side of this ramp. And it's like a 2040. So it just... There's going to be plenty of shock rifles that'll be dropped by the sentinels. Like I said, it's only sentinels. And the interesting thing about these sentinels is I don't believe any of these sentinels are the type that carry the heat wave.
Would it surprise you if I said it wasn't going to be simple? Don't answer that. The lift's been disabled, presumably to slow us down. We're going to need to power it back up.
So I'm going to refer to these doorways, these doors that you go in, from the plinth as I'm looking. So you got the 12 o'clock straight ahead, 3 o'clock to my right, and 9 o'clock to the left. That's how I'm going to refer to on these doors. So I'm going to start with the 12 o'clock door. The 12 o'clock door has the one where you got 2 small rooms to go in, and then one large hall, like broad hall room. And it's where there's like a big chasm or bridge to cross to get the power seed. The bridge goes away. I missed my 3rd shot. Now that I've got ammo for the sentinel beam, I can get a couple shots with the shock rifle and then finish them off with the sentinel beam. Interesting thing to note, and I haven't been doing this because I hadn't really noted or seen where to get other dynamos, but I figure if you get enough of these sentinels that build up at a doorway, you can get sometimes 3 and 4 all hanging around each other at the doorway. I figure, well, I could put a dynamo down and they could be stunned, maybe stick them with the plasma, or see what kind of free shots you can get off of them. But that just means if I'm going to use a dynamo, then I'm going to want to replenish my dynamos. So there's not too many racks that will have them. But I hadn't really been paying too much attention. So you go, there's just about the midway point. When you reach the midway point, that middle island, just as you get there, it will trigger to have, I think it's 4 sentinels come out. I think there's 2 of them already out there, but it triggers to bring 2 more to come out. So the method and it seems like there's 5. So I think there's 2 out there, and then you trigger to have 4 more or something like that. So I think there's like a total of 6 out there. One of them's already blown up. So you see them all build up. I could put a dynamo down and see what kind of free damage I can do on them. Yeah, so I was saying the tactic here is just kind of put the drop wall down, fight from the doorway. They can come up to the doorway, hang around the doorway. Maybe they peek through the doorway. Here I want to get one up close and melee so I can get my shield back. And as far as the bridge going out and getting across, it's a pretty easy grapple. Just grapple this middle piece and you swing across.
They let me pick, and I have to tell you that. Choose whichever smart I want. I did my research. Watched as you became the soldier we needed you.
So I came through the 12 o'clock door, and I got my choice of going through the left door or the right door. I'm gonna go back to the plinth where I put down the BR. It doesn't look like I'm doing that right now. But what I want to do, yep, looks like I am turning around, I just thought of it, is that I'm gonna go back to the BR, and to keep it from despawning, I'm gonna pick it up and drop it. It's just kind of keeping it alive, keeping it from idling out and despawning.
Who was that?
So I gotta make sure that rack that had the shock and the sentinel beams has 2 dynamos.
What
And
happened
that
to him?
first room, that first 12 o'clock door room, had the same. It had a couple dynamos. The trigger line is going to be close to this little desk thing. There it was. It was kind of right in that room. It's going to trigger, what, 3? What did I do? The 9 o'clock door? Door. The first room is going to have 3 sentinels. So 3 of them will come out here. The other part of the tactic is listen for the timing of when they shoot, because they're pretty consistent with their timing. These fires in here like 2 or 3 seconds, and it's rather consistent in their firing. And sometimes they'll fire even though they don't see you. They're just gonna shoot. I can be on this doorway and them not see me, and they'll still shoot. You get the timing right, wait for them to shoot, step out, get your aim and fire and shoot them. Get back into cover, wait for them to shoot, and step out again. So there's 2 more in this room. The drop wall takes enough damage and they can shoot through it. Now now I got this last one here. I can get my shield back. I believe that you can hit the Sentinel with his shield activated, and it will count for recharging, for getting your shield back. Which I find interesting, because typically enemies that you strike that have a shield, like say like a jackal, if you strike the shield of the jackal will not count as striking an enemy and getting your shield back.
Like the others, he was strong and swift, brave, a natural leader. But you had something they didn't. Something no one saw but me.
Fighting these Sentinels is very difficult. The way they move around, you got numbers, they got shield, they take a lot of damage. You got to at least get 4 or 5 shots to get the kill.
No choice.
And they kind of work well with each other, and the way they kind of move around and just kind of overwhelm you with numbers, and their shots are spot on.
Destroyed the first ring.
If they see you, they're going to be good about
A lot
shooting.
of good people.
I don't know how you keep doing this.
I don't have a choice.
I did try fighting
Maybe
inside
it's
the
my
room with
programming.
that obstruction, that kind of decoration, whatever that wedge thing, and it doesn't work out well. I tried several times. They move around and flank you, and they try and get you from up above on the left, and they move to the right. So this is the 3 o'clock door. I'm going to start with 4 Sentinels in this first room, and then there's going to be 2 Sentinels in the second room. I find it interesting, even though you got famine on, the amount of ammo that the Sentinels drop with the shock rifles. I mean, it's a lot of ammo. It's almost like famine is ineffective. It's like ineffective on the dropped shock rifles. I don't have any complaints with it. Where's my grapple? I am unsure if that Sentinel shot me with his final shot. And this is the, but it turns out this is the last one, and I think that's the last enemy. And this is going to be the end of the mission coming up whenever I make it up. Get the Grav-lift activated. There's some cutscene and this and that going up, but this is really going to be the last of the mission.
It worked. You did it. Just like you always do. I'm not coming with you this time. We were supposed to take care of each other. And we did.
As far as weapons to carry into the next mission, I'm gonna make it the BR and the shock rifle.
She saved me.
Actually, I'm gonna switch it up,
couldn't
and I'm
save
gonna
her.
go with the BR and
blame
the Sentinel
yourself.
beam, and it paid off.
Yes.
I'll have a full Sentinel beam because the start of the next mission on Command Spire, these you get 4 Sentinels, and it's really hard to fight them off. It's really hard to get the timing of the shooting them with the Sentinel with the shock rifle. So I tried the Sentinel beam, and it worked out. As you'll see in the next mission, you'll see how it begins. In fact, I pulled it off without a death and got it done, and it worked out well. So here I'm being indecisive and trying to think about how I'm going to do it, and if that's you know, with my choice. Really just kind of thinking it through here. And I'm unsure with what was going on with the audio in the
I'll
cutscene.
take care of you.
why I can't hear her, but you can still hear other audio of the cutscene, but I can't hear her voice. I think I'll allow this cutscene to play through.
Why do you fight the inevitable? Order approaches. The Reformation is but a new beginning. The auditorium will spill its secrets. The Endless will walk this world once more.
And you stop me. You put us all at risk.
So thank you for joining me on the Nexus. I look forward to you all joining me on the next mission, the Command Spire.